All right guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be working on Josh's car again, unfortunately. So if you guys seen the video that I put the new EFR 8073, I believe is what it is, I don't even remember, but this is like a brand new turbo, and the reason why I ended up putting in the turbo is because the center housing had split apart, okay? And we got a gangster housing with some pretty gangster hardware, and I safety wired all that stuff. And then when I did that, I also installed a stage 8 fastening system. Okay, it uses this clip, I'll show you guys later, but anyways, it uses this clip, and the theory behind it is that once you install this clip, it does not allow the nut to turn. So of course, with my luck, it seems like what happened now, something else failed. So it seems like the studs backed out independent of the nut and the flange. All right, sorry if you guys hear a little bit of extra noise. I got the air on because it's a million degrees outside. But now that I got this junk hole out of here, this is the big pain he has with the Evo X, right? This stuff is back here. And then you try to fit a giant manifold with a giant turbo, and you know, it makes it even more difficult. So yeah, this is the gasket, or what's left of it. And then it looks like all the hardware that I installed is still in place. The safety wire job down there, it's still in place, so that's good. Okay, so at least one thing worked. So now, as you guys can see, you see how these two studs were actually sticking out past the top flange of the manifold, and now they're sunken in. And then this one back here, you can see through there. This one is completely missing. So yeah, so I think my theory that the studs are turning independent of the nut and everything like that, because with the stage 8 stuff, like all the locking tabs and everything like that is still in place. So oh man, gotta love tracking an Evo X. Okay, well, that's always a royal pain in the ass. So this is all the stuff that came out. This is all that's left from the gasket. Luckily, I did spin the turbo by hand, and I kind of looked down the holes. I didn't see anything. It spins freely. My safety wire stuff is still in place, so that did its job, okay? But all this failed. So this was all coming off with the stud, and this is all kind of rusted. These clips are they're all damaged and warped. These things look like they were actually starting to spin a little bit in the nut. So yeah, I'm not really sure. This car is just a monster with hardware. But I think that the biggest problem is this. If you guys can see, this is all warped. So the center one seemed fine. It was really difficult to get it off. And now I know why. This is super warped. This is not flat. Okay, so these flanges are all kind of moved around. And then on the bottom, this is also very gritty, so definitely not flat. And then on one of these, this actually came out of the threads. I forget which one it was. Maybe it was this one. Anyway, so, but now that the stud, there's this one. Nope. There we go. You see. So this is now, it's not tight anymore. So now I really don't know what to do. I mean, I think the original plan was that I was just going to take all new hardware. I was possibly going to take this to a machine shop to try to get everything flattened out, okay? And then I was going to take this to a fabricator and put new studs on all the holes and weld them from the top, okay? And that way the stud can't physically back up. I mean, I know this is really not a good idea, because if something happens to the stud, you're fucked, you know. That's just the way it is. And then Full Race also stopped. I didn't know this, but Full Race also stopped manufacturing turbo kits and stuff like that. So they don't actually have any manifolds. They don't have any plans of making any manifolds anymore. So I did contact them. I'm gonna send them some pictures of this because this is supposed to have a lifetime warranty. So we'll see what they say, but I think for now, that part of the project is on standby. All right, guys, so it's been a couple of weeks since I worked on Josh's car. We've had some issues with the manifold. Well, I mean, the real issue is that full race just did not come through. They will not repair it. They will not give us a new one. They said that basically they just stopped manufacturing, and all these are discontinued, and they don't even have a way to fix it or anything like that. They actually told me that this was okay, even though these flanges are definitely not okay. I actually damaged studs pulling this manifold off. I mean, that's crazy. And, you know, obviously it keeps, you know, everything kind of keeps coming apart. One of the threads on one of these holes completely came out. So, you know, you definitely can't, I don't want to throw this back in there like that, you know. So then the second idea was to try to get a local manufacturer, a local fabricator to repair this, but nobody's really willing to do this. So we went to the next best step, and that is just to have a new manifold made. And this is going to solve a lot of different things for us. So first of all, just looking at it like this, you know, this is much, much smaller, okay? We also went with a smaller runner because since we're just, you know, the car's on a stock engine, so it doesn't really need, you know, all the turbo and all the power that it can make. So we went with a smaller runner. My original full race kit on my Evo 10 had a 1 1/4 scheduled tubing like this, and I was able to make 770 on that, so I'm not that worried. We did have to have a custom CNC flange made, okay, so that there's a smooth transition, okay, from the OEM square port to, you know, this small tubing. But, you know, this is going to be much easier to work on, okay? The second benefit, and one thing that I worked with the fabricator, is I'm going to go through all the hardware here in a little bit, but I went with this Pro Bolt bolts, okay? And the reason why I went with these bolts is because this bolt, even though is a 10 millimeter, it has a 12 millimeter head, okay? So it's much smaller to be able to fit in really tight spots, okay? So this fits all around except back here, okay? So back here we still have that issue. It's gonna be a little bit difficult, but I think we're gonna solve. We're basically gonna throw everything in the kitchen sink at this point. So we're gonna go with through bolts, okay, with Norlock washer on the top and on the bottom. And on the bottom I got these pre-drilled titanium nuts, okay, and that's gonna go at the bottom. And what that's gonna allow me to do is basically, and then, you know, with the Norlock washer, and then I'm gonna safety wire all these nuts together, okay? So I think that, you know, I'm hopeful that everything will work out with this. You know, again, it's much smaller. You can see that this, sorry about all the noise, I got the garage open. This runner runs really close to the head, to the valve cover. So that's one thing that I didn't like about this. This runner runs super close to the turbo outlet, okay, over here. So the coupler was always, you know, so this is not as pretty as that, I'll say, but, you know, it's not bad looking either. You know, we kept the twin scroll, obviously. Everything is super nice. And you know, so this will be less heat, way lighter. This is way lighter. I'm gonna say it's at least 15 pounds lighter, okay? So that's huge. We have way better clearance, way better access for hardware. I mean, there's just no way that you're gonna be able to fit a bolt through here, you know? So the only option with this manifold is really with these studs, and you know, we continue to have issues. So hopefully this will solve a lot of problems. So we're gonna send this out to get ceramic coated, this kind of color, the titanium color that I like to do, because it does last a good amount, okay? And then we're gonna get the car in. We're gonna start working on the brake ducts. We got a bunch of stuff to do. Oh, and then the last thing that I almost forgot, is we also had them make this support bracket. So this support bracket is I'll have to show you guys later. But anyways, we had them make this support bracket. So this will also support the assembly. So in between you know, all the crazy hardware that I'm using, the safety wire and this bracket. I mean, if this stuff falls apart, I give up. All right, so while we wait on the manifold to get ceramic coated, we're gonna be doing some other things. So one of the things that he wanted to have the ability to install a tow hook, okay? And the cleanest, easiest, most plug and play way on an Evo 10 to do a tow hook is the JDM bumper beams. They have these for the front and the back, and the front and the back have the this welded piece and this threaded piece for a tow hook, okay? I don't know why the USDM ones don't. Also, the US cars have a big metal, like steel rear bar, okay, whereas the JDM one is aluminum. I'm not gonna show you the rear one because it's already installed. He already had it. I'm gonna put this guy on. When you get this, when you order this part, it actually comes with all the mounts and everything like that. It comes with all these brackets, but it does not come with these air guides. And although you can make the stock ones or the USDM ones work, you end up having to chop them and some of the air escapes. So these are actually different. They stick up a lot more, okay? And they're the same size, the same part number for left or right. You just kind of flip it back or forward. So that's the part number. And half a week later, we got the manifold back. So we're all ready to go. We got new gaskets. I got my new gasket. I got my new studs and everything. I got, you know, I got everything new. So let me go ahead and start putting this back together. All right, well, the easy part is done. It wasn't really easy at all. But there's definitely a lot more room, especially up here. Some of the bolts to the head are a little bit more difficult, and it's definitely difficult to fit everything with this bracket. So this is the support bracket that goes down to the block. It's gonna be very hard to see where it goes, but it goes to one of the empty slots on the block. I believe that would be, that was like, I believe there is a bracket there from the factory, but I don't remember exactly what it holds. So these have Norlock washer top and bottom. This is a through bolt. This one has a Norlock on top and bottom on this back one here. Now this one, this is the biggest difficult part. This one here, okay? There's no way to put a bolt there. So what I did is I put the titanium nut underneath. I couldn't even fit a washer there, not because of the stud or anything like that, just there's not enough room there on the casting of the turbo. So then up here I did put this is an Inconel nut that I had from the full race setup. Sorry, it's very difficult to film here. And then a Norlock washer there. And then, so I kind of preset the stud in there first, and then I set the manifold over it. So very, very difficult to kind of work all that out. So now comes the even more difficult part, which is gonna be to safety wire this whole thing together. So wish me luck. Okay, so I got like 3 hours into this. I had to do it like 6 different times. I kept messing it up because it's upside down, so it's kind of difficult, you know, and the bolt, the holes for the wire are really difficult to get to. So I ended up making like this little cheat sheet. I basically did one right side up, how it's supposed to go, okay, with the wire like this, and then I just flipped it over, and then I retraced it, and then I copied this over and over again. So it's not the most professional safety wire. That was hard to see, but definitely there. This is just a little loop. Okay, so I tied these two and the other two. Got everything buttoned up. Definitely a ton more room around this manifold. The manifold is way smaller. There's my little fix for the power steering line that was rubbing against the downpipe. Kind of hard to see there because this thing won't focus all the way down there. But if you see, I added that spacer, an aluminum spacer, a longer bolt. I also added a little bit more heat sleeving, okay, on this line. So that way it looks close, but I got a good 3/8 there, so I think that should be fine. And I also think that I'll be able to remove this heat shield without taking the windshield wiper motor and the cowl and all that stuff off. So at this point, I just gotta finish the underside, I gotta finish the brake ducts and put the under tray and get this thing started. All right, then now for the brake ducts, this is my solution. I just knocked this out. Guys, I thought this was plastic, the glass that goes on this fog light, but it's actually glass, so be careful with this. I just gotta shave this off so it doesn't flop around, okay? But, you know, that's a pretty cool duct built in. Okay, I gotta cut this off as well. I just gotta clean this up. But fitting it in is really, really tricky. This side, the driver's side, is not as difficult, okay? You can kind of come this way. The fog light vessel kind of leaves a little slot there so you can zip tie this in place, okay? And then, you know, come around this way, come around under the transmission. I did pancake this a little bit, and I am working it with the under trays and everything like that. And then on the under tray, I just basically cut a slot so that this has enough room to kind of move around. I do have to put a little bit of duct tape here because it does rub on this side and I don't want to keep cutting it too much. So this side is kind of simple, it's not that difficult. This side is really difficult. I couldn't figure out a way to run it this way. This 2.5 inch hose is just really, really large for this, and there's really no room. So here's, I cut a big slot on this. This is just basically hollowed out here, okay? And then I zip tied it to a couple points in the on the block. One back here and one up here, okay? And I have to run this way around the oil pan, come back this way. This is all crunched up so that it tucks underneath the under tray. We are gonna run the full under tray on this, and then it goes up in here. This is gonna be another hard one to see, but you can see how it's a very tight fit here because we got the oil cooler right here, okay? Let me zoom out a little bit, there we go. We got the oil cooler right here. We have the oil cooler duct as well, okay? So this is coming this way, and then very, very quickly it has to go up and then make a very tight 90-degree turn to tuck in here. This one, there's no way to get a zip tie up there, but I don't think there's any need to. It's under quite a bit of tension. It may move a little bit, but I think it'll be fine once it settles in. It'll be fine, and I think all this is gonna fit with the stock under tray. So I just have to do a little testing on this once I put the under tray on. Just, you know, make sure that this is not bending up and hitting the axle. Definitely don't want to rub on the axle for sure. So, and then I use all these little clips. I forget what these are called, U-nuts or something like that. And then I'm gonna use, where is it? These like hurricane shutter screws. Okay, this has a nice wide head, and you know, you just screw it in. So much easier than using all those stupid, you know, push clips and stuff like that.